Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hope that your Wednesday's off to a good start. Mine is so far. Here with a second cup of coffee, and I've got a new mug. Yeah, this is a new mug birthday present that I got from my number one daughter yesterday. Good Bigfoot slash Sasquatch mug. No, I don't really believe that there are Sasquatches out in the wild somewhere, but I love watching the TV shows about them. But anyway, happy Wednesday. Hope you've got a good cup of coffee with you. This coming Sunday, I'm going to start a series of sort of mini series, 3 sermons talking about sort of where life all ends up, where the universe ends up, second coming. And I got to thinking about that. Guess it was maybe a month ago, 6 weeks ago, we were attending a band competition and heard a really good band. They were a good band. And the title of their show was Karma. And the name of the band, I will not name the band because but they were really good. Musically, they were great. They were marched well. It was a good show. But the title of their show is Karma. And throughout the show, they had this voiceover. And that was giving some elements of this concept that we call karma. And so in part of the voiceover for the show was something like this: karma. What we put in the universe comes back. Past, present, and the future. What goes around comes around. Karma links our past, present, and our future, bringing it all full circle. And went on through the 8 or 9 minute halftime show. Periodically, the voiceover comes in with more statements like that. Like I said, it was an excellent high school band. It was a great show, except for the voiceover. And that got me to thinking, what do we really believe, and how much in what we commonly talk about, how much of that comes from other cultures, other religions, and not from our own? We've all heard the term karma, I assume, and if you were to ask somebody, do you believe the statement, what goes around comes around, a lot of people would say yes. But is that really Christian? And the answer would be no. And the concept of karma comes from the Indian religions, Indian meaning the Indian subcontinent, not American Indians or Native Americans. But the concept of karma comes from Hinduism and Buddhism. And the basic idea with karma is this, that all of our actions, all of our intents have consequences throughout our life and into our future. And part of it is what goes around comes around, and if you put negative energy into the world, negative stuff is going to come back to you. If you do bad things or have bad intents, that bad things are going to happen to you, whether it is in the form of some illness or natural disaster or accident that's going to happen to you. What goes around comes around. And karma is linked to reincarnation. If you have good karma, if you have good karma, good intents, and good actions throughout your life, then when you are reincarnated, then you come back in a better form. A lot of bad karma, and you come back as a rodent or whatever. If you have super good karma over lifetimes, multiple lifetimes, then eventually you come back as a really good human. That's sort of the idea. So that karma and reincarnation are inextricably combined. Karma and reincarnation are linked together. They sort of hold each other apart. They hold each other together and rely on each other. These same cultures also have a cyclical view of history. Hinduism, Buddhism have a secular view of history, and so that there's this never-ending cycle that is history. Never-ending cycle that is history. History repeats itself on and on and on, and doesn't have a particular beginning or end, but it is an endless cycle. Which gets us to what we believe. One of the great books that I've read is this one. I'll show it to you. The Gifts of the Jews by Thomas Cahill is a great book. And Cahill's premise is this, and it's, like I said, it's a wonderful book. His premise is this, that Judaism gives us the idea that history is linear. That Judaism gives us the idea that history has a beginning and has an end. It's not an endless cycle, but it has a beginning point and an ending point. That history begins, if you want to go all the way back, it begins with God creating. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then it has an ending point where for us as Christians, Christ will return. It has a beginning and it has an end. And there's not this never-ending cycle that we are stuck in. But history is linear. That's one of the revolutionary concepts that the Jews introduced to the world. And that's something that we as Christians inherited from Judaism because, Christianity arose out of Judaism. So as Christians, we believe that the world has a beginning, history has a beginning, and it has an end. We don't believe in karma because we don't believe in reincarnation. And we don't believe that what goes around comes around. That there's some bad deed that you do now puts negative energy into the universe, which is going to come back to bite you 10 years later. We don't buy that. Part of our belief system is that you can be freed from your past, you can be forgiven, and begin with a clean slate. That is part of who we are and what we believe. History has a beginning and it has an end. A beginning and an end. The prophets, the Old Testament prophets, they referred to this, they had this concept called the Day of the Lord. The Day of the Lord, the day at which God would intervene in human history and right all of the wrongs, vindicate the oppressed and the righteous, and judge the wicked. That's the idea with the Day of the Lord. History is moving along. And at some point in the future, God's going to intervene to vindicate the righteous and the oppressed and to judge the oppressors and the wicked. And then we as Christians, we inherit that and essentially reinterpret it in light of Christ. because Jesus said that he would return. Paul talked about Christ returning. Our creeds say it. He ascended into heaven, sat down at the right hand of God the Father Almighty, and from thence he shall come to judge the quick and the dead. This idea that Jesus will come to judge the living and the dead at the end. That is what we believe. We don't believe in karma or what goes around comes around. We don't believe in reincarnation. Though every now and then I think it might be nice to be reincarnated as a cat and just sleep about 18 hours a day. But we don't believe in karma or reincarnation. We believe that that history has a progression. History is linear. History has a future, it has a destination. And that destination is Christ. It is God Almighty. That is the destination of history. The writer of Hebrews said this: "It is appointed unto man once to die, and after that the judgment." It is appointed unto man once to die, and after that the judgment. Our lives have a beginning and an ending point. And the ending point is Christ. Paul speaks about this in 1 Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians, 1 Corinthians 15, and several other places. We find this idea that Jesus is going to return. Jesus talks about it in the Gospels, particularly the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. We find it in Revelation. But this idea that history has a beginning point and it has an ending point. It is not just a never-ending cycle. It's not circular or cyclical. History has a beginning and it has an end. And the ending point is God. And the next 3 sermons are going to all deal with this in one form or another, this idea of the second coming. Why it matters, what we believe about it, how we get ready for it, all of those sorts of things. So anyway, that is on tap for the next 3 Sundays, and hope to see you Sunday morning for worship, and have a great Wednesday.